I'd like to introduce our next presenter. This is Andrew Laux. Andrew went here as an undergraduate. Graduated what year?
2011.
2011. I actually had him in my class of wisdom from mistakes and failure. That's my college class I was teaching. Andrew was in there, and I just have to say he was one of the best failures that we had in that class. Since graduating, he also played tennis.
Yep, at the college.
Played tennis here, but since graduating, he's become part of our strength and conditioning staff, and recently certified, I believe last year, or 2 years?
2 years ago.
2 years ago as the certifications from?
The National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Right. He helps us train, and I have to say this, both being in his class and also seeing what he's done with the men's and women's team, along with our other trainers. Andrew's fantastic, and he's bringing a different perspective here. So without further ado, Andrew Laux.
Thank you. So first and foremost, I wanted to say thank you for Dr. Davenport and for you guys to be here with me, as well as that time clock I get to look at this whole time. Pretty excited about that. But what we're going to talk about is how to make your rowers faster, but without weights and without an erg. So you might have this huge question mark over your head like, well, what are you going to talk about? So what we're going to talk about is your warm-up. A fun, progressive approach to a warm-up. So you guys should have your handouts, hopefully. Yeah? So if you guys want to take that out. What we're going to do is have a demonstration of how to get your kids ready before you row. Now, I don't want to blame you guys or just point fingers and say that you have your athletes come in and just be like, all right, let's go row. But with my athletes, whenever we tell them to do dynamic warm-ups, they typically don't do what we ask. And if they do it, they don't do it at the intensity and the level that we want to make sure their body's ready to go. So we're going to have some demonstrations. There's going to be some weird, awkward things that we're going to utilize that you may have not seen, maybe you have. But with my experience, I was a tennis player, so a lot different from rowing. Growing up, I was a swimmer. I got into cycling, so I've never had experience as a rower. So 2 years ago, I sat down with my roommates that are the rowing coaches here, and I said, let's do a 6K. I want to see what this is about. I want to better understand the sport so I can help my athletes, especially the rowers. For lacrosse, I used to play lacrosse when I was little, stuff like that. But rowing, I was like, rowing, what do you guys do? How am I supposed to teach this? How am I supposed to understand this? So I got about a 5-minute demonstration, and then we got on the erg, and I performed my first 6K. I sweated a lot. I blacked out a few times. Apparently I did well, though. I don't know. But it was such a unique experience. I mean, it was something that I've never done. I mean, I've done time trials on a bike, but the fact that I'm incorporating my upper body, I mean, there's just so many working components that it was just unbelievable. So after that, though, it gave me a better understanding, like, all right, what should we do? What should we not do? What can we do to better simulate the rowing stroke and to get our kids bigger, faster, stronger for the boat? So I've included this warm-up to get our kids as functional as possible, to get them stronger without touching a weight, to increase range of motion, to increase flexibility. So all these types of things, muscle recruitment. A lot of times when we have someone stretch, they just do static stretching. I hate static stretching. The only time that I personally have our kids static stretch is maybe after a workout, but even that we don't really do. We usually utilize the foam roller. So we'll show you a whole lot of, we'll just show you some examples, and if you have questions later, just let me know. But Val, if you guys maybe give a round of applause for Val. She's one of our rowers here. She's definitely a stud in the weight room, and she'll be helping us out today. So she's gonna be using that foam roller. I'll move over so you guys can see her. The first thing we're gonna work on is the quads. So as a rower, 9 times out of 10, I guarantee your rowers have overactive quads. And the reason why is not only as a human, we always use our quads whether we're walking upstairs or we're sprinting, but as a rower, you are using those quads more than anything else. So you might see a little bit of pain on her face. She might be holding it back. But what happens is you'll have these knots, these huge tight spots in the quad because of the overactiveness. We're basically telling those quads to shut up, to relax, to quiet down. This way we can actually incorporate the antagonist muscle, so the hamstrings. We want rounded out athletes, especially in the boat, there's contractions and relaxations of the quads and the hamstrings. So when she does this, she's just going to roll up and down her quad. She'll find a tender spot, and you'll basically just see their face grimace or squeeze. That's when I know it's working. So once they start doing that, they hold that spot for about 10 to 20 seconds. Once they hold that spot, they'll find another tender spot. And it can be anywhere between 30 seconds to 60 seconds of working out those kinks. So this is huge for the rowers, and that's why bolted quads is because that is an overactive muscle group for your rowers. The next exercise, the next foam rolling exercise she's going to do is her glutes. So she's going to sit down on it. One leg's going to come up and over the other one, and then she's going to lean to her right side. And this is going to activate her right glute. So again, what it does is it kind of tells the muscle to shut up. It tells them to relax. This way it can work the way it's supposed to be. And again, it's going to kind of inhibit that and allow the correct things to work when you're in the boat. So she's going to hit that again, 10, 20 seconds, and then she'll switch sides and do that for 10 to 20 seconds. The next exercise is hamstrings. So she's going to roll her way back, keep her hands behind her hips, and then just roll up and down the hamstring. Now, usually our rowers don't feel this at all, and it's because they don't really utilize their hamstrings enough. And because of this fact, we crush their hamstrings. We try to get their hamstrings as strong as possible. We want that kinetic chain, that whole body working together in unison. We want no weaknesses in our athletes. So our biggest training program is to foam roll the quads and then really strengthen hamstrings to make that rower complete. So again, do that for about 10 to 20 seconds and then move. All right, so now we're on to the calves. So she's, again, similar position. She kind of raises her hips up and rolls up and down those calves. With calves, typically overactive with a rower, and it's because of the plantar flexion and the dorsiflexion that they receive in the boat or on the erg. So they'll have some overactiveness. They'll typically feel it. You can kind of bow your toes in or out, and this just hits different portions of the muscle, which is great. When you static stretch, you can only hit one aspect of that muscle. But when you foam roll, you can hit it's almost like a three-dimensional stretch. You can hit everything. So it's just great in that respect. Next one, IT bands. So she's going to shift over onto her side, like a side plank. It's probably pretty slippy over there. And just this one. Remember that one? Yeah. You got it. Good. Okay, so the IT band. IT band runs from your hip to your knee. And it gets ridiculously inflamed, especially if your rowers run or do anything outside of rowing. There was actually a rower that cried. But we've had people cry doing this because that's how inflamed it gets. So you're going to kind of say, well, why does this matter with my rowers? Well, the reason why is if they have really tight IT bands, it's going to pull on the kneecap, and now you can have knee injuries. So anytime that a kid can be complaining of a knee injury, well, you can't really static stretch the IT band. You can do it by this, but you don't hit it. When you do this, it's like good morning. I mean, it just wakes you up. So I recommend this if you have a 5 a.m. practice. It will just wake them up right away. So, and then you don't have to do it, but then you can just repeat on the other side. So it really, I mean, if you guys want to try it, we can try this later. It's an unbelievable how it feels. And then the last one is their lats. So again, overactive lats. They're doing this all day a million times. So we want to quiet that down to allow the reciprocal muscles work in unison. Okay, so just like that. Might slip out. She puts her arm over it, kind of roll to that side a little bit, and it's going to hit those wings on that back. And just allow that back to relax and increase range of motion in that muscle. So now that you might be able to get a little bit, maybe an inch more, a half inch more, but that additional range of motion will allow more pull. So you're going to be more efficient, you're going to be stronger, you're going to be faster in that boat while doing these exercises. All right, so that's everything. So the thing is, if you can't afford a foam roller, or if you don't want to buy whatever, use a lacrosse ball. You can hop down. Use a lacrosse ball. Use a tennis ball. The lacrosse balls are hard, but they do the same thing. You're going to do this, just roll it out, lay on it, and it'll just hit those spots the same way. So that's just a great alternative. Okay, next exercises are med balls. If you don't have med balls, or if you guys, can't buy it, whatever it is, use a deflated soccer ball. Fill it with sand. Fill it with water. there's so many different alternatives, so you can utilize that. But with the med balls, what we usually do with our ladies and our men rowers is we make it competitive. I mean, they love to compete, and it's so much fun being a part of that. Like, they just go at it at each other. So when they come in after they foam roll, I have them grab a partner and a med ball. Once they have that, it's just like, all right, let's go to town. So the first exercise you'll see is a slam. We'll typically do 2 sets of 60 reps. So if you want to perform a slam, she takes the ball overhead and just slams it through the wall as hard as she can. So you can see that the motion is somewhat similar to a rowing exercise. She's sinking down. She's incorporating her upper body. It's similar. And rest. Good. So what we do is I say to them, all right, first to 60 reps. You can break up the repetitions however you want. So typically they might go 10 and 10. And these, especially these girls, they go crazy. I mean, they're just ripping as hard as they can. They want to win. So they're making it competitive. You're getting them active. You're getting their heart rate up. You're getting them sweating. And you're getting that muscle recruitment. You're getting that neural connection where the brain is now working with the body. So it helps so much with just making them more efficient and more aware of their bodies. Sometimes if you have a new kid that comes in and has never done rowing or anything, they have no idea. If you tell them to squeeze their gut in, they might not know how. If you tell them to sink down and squat, they might not know how. So these things help train them. The next exercise is a squat to chest pass. So you can just do that to me and we'll just go back and forth. So again, competitive situation. We'll say first team to 60 reps. She's going to sink all the way down to a squat, pass it to me. The ball's going to bring me back down. Sorry for my dress pants, I can't really sink down. Sink down, drive up, and it'll be first team to 60 reps. So you can, just make sure that everyone's at the same distance away. And again, it's working on those things that we need in the boat. And it's making it competitive, so they're working hard. They're getting everything they need for a good warm-up. The next one, I just kind of made it up, called grandma toss. This is probably the most related thing to rowing because it works in such a deep stance. So the grandma toss, that will show you. Maybe don't just control a little bit. So she sinks all the way down and then just drives straight up, sorry. And if you think about it, when they get into that catch, you're getting all the way down and then you're unloading. So when you tell them to try to blast this ball through the ceiling, these girls, guys, they are ripping the ball up as high as they can. And again, it becomes a competition. We have competitions, how high can you get the ball? Things like that. Okay, next thing, TRX band. This is a suspension trainer. It's this thing, black and yellow. They're relatively expensive. We personally purchased TRX bands for the college. It's kind of like the name brand. There are off-name brands, so you can find them relatively cheap on Amazon, or I'm sure you guys know what these are. The coaches helped me mock this up. You can make them yourself. So if you want ideas, use a carabiner from a local hardware store. You can attach these things off pull-up bars. So if that's all you have access to an unlimited amount of exercise with this. So we're just going to show you 2. The first thing we're going to do is a row. So the closer she gets her feet, hopefully you guys can see, the closer she gets her feet to the anchor point, the harder this exercise is going to be. She's going to first emphasize her core. We talk about core all day when you guys are rowing. She's going to activate those glutes, so squeeze those glutes, get everything tight around here, and now she's set for the exercise. You can see how there's a straight line from her shoulders, hips, and ankles. And now she's just going to row it in. Keeping it straight down underneath her chest, so she's hitting the lower traps, just like in the boat. Nice and controlled. There's no speed here. We're talking about muscle recruitment. We're getting those things fired up, so when she gets in the boat, she knows exactly what to do. This stuff helps. So again, nice and controlled, straight up and straight down. All right, so now we're just really getting more specific into the rowing. All right, that's good. All right, next thing. We're gonna do the ankle mobility. Okay, ankle mobility. Now you don't need a TRX band for this. Personally, when we kind of set up exercises, we want it to flow as well as possible. So we'll typically go from like a row to a ankle mobility, or if we're doing Olympic lifting, we'll go right into the ankle mobility. It might be a little hard for you to see, but just kind of imagine. She has her heels down. She bicep curls herself up. She keeps her heel down the whole time. If their heels lift, I stick my fingers under there and say, what's this? This can't be allowed. You got to keep the heels down. This increases the mobility in her ankles. This helps tenfold, and personally, I've done this. I do this before I squat. I've done it before, I've erged before. This helps my range of motion so much. You can't really do this anywhere else. And you don't need a suspension trainer. You can grab a pole, you can grab a chair. As long as those heels are down, you get that body up, you hold it for about 5 seconds, and then you relax. Get back up, hold it, and once you get up, you just feel like you're fresh. You feel like you're ready to go. That's good, Val, thank you. All right, so that's the ankle mobility. So that increases mobility, you have your muscle recruitment, all of those great things. Now the last, actually you might want to go back up on here. If you want to hop up, it's up to you. Okay, last thing, you don't need any equipment to do this. So we kind of spoke about it earlier on. We are over-dominant as rowers with our quads. So let's hit the back. If you don't have weights, it's not an excuse. These are things that you can do before practice to help get them stronger without touching a weight. And again, get that muscle recruitment that you need for these athletes to understand what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. So she's going to lay on her back. It's kind of a progression. So the first exercise is very standard. It's just called a glute bridge. She's going to drive her hips up and pinch her glutes. It's amazing how people, they don't know how to activate this. So whether this looks hard or not, and then just kind of rep it out. So just nice and slow, down and up. So she's activating those glutes. You would be amazed how much you feel that back end work. I mean, it's one thing I kind of say, it might be a little weird, but pretend you're pinching a credit card in between your butt cheeks. Little awkward, but sometimes you need those weird cues to get the kids to understand what they're supposed to be doing. And again, you do 4 or 5 reps, and you're just like, wow, like, okay, I feel that. So not only is she incorporating her glutes, but because those legs are staying 9 degrees, you have contraction of the hamstrings. So now we're starting to attack those hamstrings and make them stronger. Okay, so Val, the next one, glute bridge march. So glute bridge march. If your athletes, if that's too easy, if the glute bridge is too easy, well then we're going to do a march and just go a little bit faster. Good. Keeping those hips the whole time. Keeping those hips up the whole time. So again, activating the glutes. Hips are elevated. You would be amazed how much this fires up your hamstring. We've had kids, if they've had like a 20-minute exercise and then do this, they sometimes cramp out. So it just kind of shows we really need to increase strength of the hamstring. So this is a great hamstring exercise as well as glute. The last one, so this is for your studs, or just when this gets too easy, is to start using med balls or any type of ball to do a med ball hip buck. Very similar motion. She's going to balance and drive her hip up. If you can do 10 reps of these, you're pretty good. These are hard. I mean, there's times where if I go for a run and then I do these, I have cramps, and it just shows that I need to work out my hamstrings more. I need to do these simple bodyweight exercises to get my body where I want it to be. So this is really just strengthening that antagonist pair to your quads. And by making these stronger, you're going to decrease injury and you're going to increase strength in the boat. So those are all the exercises. I mean, you can pick and grab. Thank you so much, Val. You can pick and grab whatever you want. Just add one thing. Try it. Maybe add 2, or maybe do the whole warm-up. Just see what works, and hopefully you guys enjoy them. So, thank you.
Questions for Coach Andrew?
Why do you emphasize the calf muscle? I mean, it's not a muscle that's pretty big in rowing.
Why don't we? Or
why do you?
Why do we?
Your thigh muscle, the back of the hamstring.
Yeah. So the activation of the biggest thing is making everything strong. We don't want anything weak. So you were talking about the formula, right?
Next time doing the hamstring.
Why are we doing the hamstring? It's anything. Basically, the hamstring helps control the action. So when the hamstring is coming in, it's all hamstring. So when the body is coming into the catch, it's controlling with the hamstring. So if we make that stronger, it's only going to help the rower. So hopefully that answers your question.
Another question for Andrew?
For you, Mike, how much time are you women devoting to this before practice, before you guys get into it?
Well, let one of the gals answer that. Kelly, how many? Stand up, Kelly. Turn around and answer. I love embarrassing rowers. Yeah. So how much time do we devote to that before practice?
Yeah.
Usually we take about 30 minutes to stretch. So we'll do kind of the static, and then we'll do the dynamic warm up too. So we'll do not necessarily all of that, but we'll do like lunges and stuff like that. So.
And I started, I think, with the same thought that many people have. We don't have time for that. We got to get on the water. And once I came around to this line of thinking, it made a big difference. The water time has gone up in terms of quality. Maybe not as much in quantity, but the quality. We're seeing, I would say, a lot less injuries. I can't knock on the biggest piece of wood I can find. Back injuries have gone way down, and which is the typical injury for rowing, and especially ribs. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these exercises, the muscle groups around the lower back, like the glutes, the hamstrings, are helping strengthen the lower back, taking that load, so you're not having those issues.
And twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 7 o'clock, the gals go through the strength training program.
So the first 10 to 15 minutes is basically this type of stuff, and then we're in the weight room for the next 40, 45 minutes doing Olympic lifting, strength-based type of stuff. So.
Another question? We've got time for one more.
Sure.
From the angle that we're sitting, when she was doing the ankle mobility exercise, what body position was she in? Because we can't see it.
It's, let's see if I can do it. Okay, so just holding this as an anchor point, it's basically like this. So a lot of times the rower, their heels want to pop up, you're not helping that ankle mobility. So by keeping the heel down, you're just opening up that joint. So it's just relaxing. I can't really do it because I can't hold on to this, but they would be leaning back and then bicep curling themselves forward, keeping those heels down.
What Coach Linda Bury had said was have them put a $20 bill under their heel, and if it comes up, then you get the 20. Just make sure it's their 20 to start with, not yours. Well, Andrew, if people have questions for you, how can they get a hold of you?
The contact information is on the sheet, so you can either give me a phone call, that's my cell phone, so you guys are more than welcome to give me a call via that, or that's my email address. So either way.
And what about your outside? You have an outside business too?
Yep, so I've been currently working on kind of like a private business. It's focusing on how to make people better, so whether it's athletically or just people for weight loss, whatever it is. But if you're interested with that, you can just give me an email. I can show you that page. It's called Project U. So if you guys want to Google search that and just look for my name. So.
Great job.
All right, thank you guys.